These are notes on division with no remainder. This is note number 2 for Mrs. Howe's class, and I am Mrs. Howe. So you should have a note paper with all of this information already written down. If you don't, you'll want to pause and then get this copied, what you see here, and we're going to be filling it in. So in the definitions section, I want you to write down the terms dividend, divisor, and quotient. And then instead of writing the definition, we're just going to draw lines to what these terms mean. So the dividend is the number that is divided. So here, the number that we're dividing is 32. So draw an arrow to that. The divisor is the number that you are using to divide. And the quotient, of course, would have to be the answer. So make sure you know those terms. Dividend is the number that is being divided. Divisor is the number that is divides the dividend, and a quotient to a division problem is the answer. Okay, so in the notes section here, we have a note, remember the steps. So the steps that I want you to remember when you're dividing are divide. So the first thing we do is divide. Then we multiply. Then we subtract. Then we repeat those steps. Now, a little trick that might help you remember those 4 steps, divide, multiply, subtract, and repeat, are the words daddy, mommy, sister, rover. So divide is get my pen back up. Divide is daddy. So I'm going to write daddy here. You should be copying this as well. Daddy, mommy for multiply, or dad, mom, sister for subtract, or sis, and repeat is rover. So now, in our first problem, we had 23 divided into 391. Okay, so our first step here is divide. So write divide on the line. And we said that divide is for dad or daddy. And then you can draw a little dad here, whatever that looks like to you. Okay. Oops, here's dad's hair. All right. And then, so we're going to see how many times 23 goes into 391. So 23 does not go into 3. So I'm going to take the next digit. Does 23 go into 39? And I know 20 times 2 would be 40, so 23 times 2 is definitely going to be bigger than 39. So I know that 23 can go into 39 only 1 time, so I'm going to put the 1 here. And I divide it into 39, so I like to put that digit over the last digit of the number I divided into. Okay, so I did step 1. I divided. And it's really important here. One thing I think kids forget to do a lot is to actually put their number on the line. So I want you to remember to put your number on the line when you're dividing. Okay, step 2 is to multiply. So write that down, multiply. and that is mommy or mom. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a little picture of mom, whatever your picture of mom would look like. Okay, doesn't have to have a lot of detail, but you need to, these pictures just help you remember. So I had already divided, so I'm going to put my 1 up here. Now I multiply, and I multiply the divisor into, so I'm going to multiply, sorry, I'm going to multiply the divisor by the the um, the quotient of my first step. So 23 times 1 is 23. So I write that below the number that I divided into. Okay, so if I were to have written 23 over here under the 91, then I'm going to get the wrong answer. So you're always writing the number, the product of the numbers that you multiply. 23 times 1 go under 39 because I divided into 39. Okay, now my next step is subtract. Okay, and then our little person is sister or sis. I'm going to draw a picture of whatever sister might look like to you. Okay, I'm going to draw that sister has a little ponytail. You can draw it whatever you want, but it's meant to help you remember. So your drawing should help you remember sister. So it's daddy, mom, mommy, sister. So we divided 23 into 39, and it went one time. We wrote 23 below the number we divided into, and then we subtract. So I always bring this down. So if there was a placeholder here, it would be 0. So 1 minus 0 is 1, or you could just bring that 1 down. 9 minus 3 is 6, and 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, so now 23 does not go into 16, so I'm going to have to divide 23 into 61. I'm moving ahead a little bit here. So now I'm going to my last step, which is repeat. And that is Rover. Okay, Rover could be, maybe it would make sense to you to say daddy, mommy, sister, brother, or it might make sense to say that Rover is the dog. So it's a mom, a dad, a sister, and a dog, perhaps. Whatever helps you remember. Okay, so here's Rover. Oops. Okay, so 23 goes into 39 one time, so I'm kind of repeating these first 3 steps. So we got 23, we subtracted, and got 161. So now you can't divide 23 into 1. It can't go into 16, so I have to try to do a little guess and check. How many times will 23 go into 161? So 23 is really close to 25, and I know that there would be 4 25s in 100, and then maybe there's 2 more in 61. So I'm going to do a guess and check over here and say 23 times 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So that's 138. I might be able to get another one. Let me try 23 times 7. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. So I'm going to put my 7 up here. And now I'm going to multiply. 7 times 23 is 161, and then I subtract and I get 0. So my answer is 17. Okay, now I'm going to do the practice problem. So the practice problem is 180 divided by 15. So I want you to pause this video and see if you can solve this one on your own, and then start the video again and see if you did it correctly. So 15 goes into 18 one time. So that is my step 1, divide. Now I'm going to multiply. Step 2, 15 times 1 is 15. Now I'm going to do step 3, which is subtract. I'm going to bring this 0 down. 8 minus 5 is 3, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Now I'm going to repeat. 15 goes into 30 2 times. 2 times 15 is 30, so I'm going to now subtract, and I get 0. So the thing that you need to remember really is to, every time you divide, write your answer on the line. So let's write that under special notes. Every time you divide, put your answer on the line. Every time you divide, put your answer on the line. And then let's add an exclamation point, because that's really important. Just another little note, anytime you want to check to see if you did a multiplication problem, or a division problem correctly, you would multiply your quotient times your divisor. So I'm going to check this practice one right here. So I'm going to multiply 12 times 15. And if I did this correctly, I should get the dividend there, the 180. So 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. I'm going to add a 0 because it's the second line. That's my placeholder. And then 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Now I add these. 0, 8, 1. So I know that I did this correct. That's my check for that one. So those are the notes that we have for dividing whole numbers with no remainder. Make sure that you label your paper number 2 and that you have all of the notes that you see on this page. Anything I have, you should have as well.